Today we're going to paint the Necron Plasmancer. First off, we started off with a white undercoat, followed by Flasmancer yellow to get the miniature started. Once the yellow is dried off, the next coat we've been using is the Plasmancer, and this has been used for the vertebrate areas and some of the larger areas of where the yellow was applied. And then Phalanx yellow was used to pick out some of the uppermost surfaces in contrast with the previous colour. Next, to pick out some of those deeper recesses, like for example where you've got the hands, or where you've got areas on the arm where you've got the indentation on the arm, we've used Agrax Earthshade, and the Plasmancer and the Agrax Earthshade were also used on the circular joint areas for the elbows and halfway up the fusters on the back of the miniature to add a bit of extra colour to the areas. And the Agrax Earthshade was also applied into the elbows for where there's got these crease lines. Here we're starting off on the armoured areas, and we're starting off first with the Corvus Black to cover all those parts. And the Corvus Black is followed by Scavenge Blight Dinge to pick out the edges, and also I've put a line across the top of the back plate just to add an area where there's a bit of light reflecting off the armour. Next, Mechanica Standard Grey has been used to pick out the uppermost details in these areas where we're painting the black, just to try and emulate where light's picking out some of those parts. For the blade, we started off initially by painting it with white scar first. Then we followed that up with Fenrician Grey by putting that slight line into the weapon. And for the cloak areas, we started with Corax White, followed by filling down the Fenrician Grey with some Lamia Medium, and then applying a wash over it to give it a slight bit of colour. Next, where the previous line of paint was applied onto the weapon, we're now applying another line again, yet finer this time, with Rust Grey. And we're doing this to try and give a level of depth between colours from light to dark. And now going back to the cloak again, we're using some white scar to pick out the edges, and also I'm putting a little bit of white scar on the bottom of the individual segments. These methods will also apply to the grills on the weapon itself, and also onto the energy cells on the back of the miniature. Next, for the eye of the Necron and also the orb on the bottom of the blade, we've started off with using that white scar first to make sure there's no black in the area. Then applying the Flasmancer yellow onto the area, and once the Flasmancer is dried, using Ferregan orange to give it a nice glaze. And now all those parts are dry, for the cloak, for the energy cells on the top of the back, for the blade, the crystal and the ribbon area on the weapons, a mix of 1 part Lothern Blue to 3 parts Lamia Medium was applied to finish off the model. If you like the video, remember to like, share and click on the button on the lower right hand side to subscribe.